everybody. I am so excited. I have Mr. Michael Chavez here. Hi, Mike.
Hello.
Hi. So Michael is the Vice President of Physician Development at BandCare most recently, and he's also the author of Grateful, How to Turn Adversity into Advantage, which is coming up very soon, probably the beginning of 2021. And Mike, thank you so much for being here. Would you mind taking a
Excited.
Would you mind taking a brief minute and tell our audience a little bit about yourself and more specifically your experience and success as a business owner and entrepreneur?
Sure. So, like you said, I'm Vice President of Physician Development at BandCare. We're a healthcare company. We actually have the largest physician group of rheumatologists in the country. We have 12 companies under our umbrella now. So, super grateful and thankful for that. As far as business goes, I started my first business when I was 19. I dropped out of college actually because I realized that I wanted to be an entrepreneur and didn't necessarily want to climb the corporate ladder, so to speak. My mom wasn't very happy about that, but but I did it. So, I kind of failed my way to success. I literally failed my way to success. And I honestly think that that's one of the only ways to do it.
That was going to be one of my questions, actually, because our topic for this summit is taking the fear of failure and flipping it into profitable business. So while we're here, would you mind giving me an example of how you failed and how you pivoted that?
Yeah, so my first business did really well. It was actually a window business when I was 19. It was called the Window Guys. And I started it out of necessity, and I started it for money, which isn't the right reason to start a business. But I did. And one of my best friends actually couldn't find a job, and he came to me and he said, "Listen, man, I can't find a job. My girlfriend's going to leave me. Can you help me out?" And I said, "Yeah, I've got a couple business ideas. I'll just start one and you work for me." So we started the window business and we bartered everything. We didn't have any money. We started it with literally $0. And like I said, we bartered everything, our logo, our t-shirts, our cards, everything. And it got really successful. It got way more successful than I anticipated, actually. Within the first 90 days, we had over 100 accounts or something crazy. I was staying up all night writing invoices and then working during the day and getting more accounts. So it was pretty incredible. But back to your question, I worked hard, but I didn't necessarily push myself harder, if that makes any sense. So I felt as though I could kind of maintain it and coast a little bit. And I learned that you can't. It's just not possible to do that, and it's not sustainable, and you can't maintain that. You have to continually push yourself harder and harder every day. And once you get to a certain level, that should be your new bottom, and you have to keep kind of bringing yourself up. So I was 19. I had I was making good money. I spent it very stupid. I bought 2 cars, which is like the dumbest thing you can ever do. I got my mom a house, which was amazing, but then I ended up selling the business, and I did okay there, and that's how I moved to Florida. But like I said, I just didn't have the mentality of continual improvement. I just felt like I reached a certain level of success, and I can kind of maintain it a little bit. When you think about failing, and everybody, it seems like your whole world sees it. It's scary. But I grew up very poor. We struggled. My mom raised my brother and I by herself, and that gave me this drive that just exceeded my fear of failure. I mean, the fear of failure didn't really play a part for me because I was so determined to be successful.
I like that. That's a good point. So define success for me.
So success not only means different things to different people, but it changes, right? So at 19, I felt like I was a success. I bought 2 cars and bought my mom a house and had a little bit of money. So, in my mind, I was successful. But you know, now what I've been able to do, thankfully, I'm, you know, even that isn't. I mean, it's successful, but it's not success. So like, you can think of success as kind of the journey, or you can think about it as a destination. And I think it's definitely a journey, because I have my short-term goals and my long-term goals, and once I hit all of those, I'm going to have new ones that are, further out. So it's definitely a relative definition.
Always be growing. I love self-development. Always go to the next level. So that makes sense. So a little bit about BandCare. Now, were you part of starting that company as well?
Yeah, so my mentor, Andrew, who's like a father to me, actually started the company. And I met him when I was in medical sales. I was a rep. It's been about 10 years ago now. And it was the second largest allergy testing lab in the world. And he went in to consult for them, help them grow the business, and consider buying the company. He didn't end up buying the company, which was a good idea, but he asked to ride with the top rep for the first 3 months to learn the business. Thankfully, I was the top rep at that time. So it was probably the first week we were riding together. We just really hit it off, and I saw what type of individual this was, and he's just, he's a freak of nature, and he completely changed my perspective on what a successful person is. So I thought that you had to sacrifice things like family and maybe some values. That was questionable, to be like massively successful. And he showed me that you don't. I mean, he's got an amazing family. His kids adore him. He's got an amazing marriage. He spends lots of time with them, but he also, works his ass off. And he's been incredibly successful, so I realized pretty quickly that this was the type of person that I wanted to be around and be like. So I remember the moment that I realized that, and we were riding back to the office, and it was, like I said, it was like the first week, and I just told him, I said, what have you read? What have you done? Videos you've watched? Just tell me what I need to do, to get even close to your level. And he just kind of laughed, and he said, I'll give you one book. We'll start with one book. We'll talk about it, and we'll kind of go from there. And that was really when he became my mentor. So like I said, he left that company, didn't end up buying it, which was a good idea. I stayed there for another year, probably. I left, and it was about a span of 4 years where I was doing different things, started a consulting company, with some of the clients that I had from medical sales. And he did some different things. He did some things with Dartmouth. He did some things with stem cell research. And he kept in contact with me. He would call me at least once a month, usually every 2 weeks, just to see how I was doing and see how things were going. So he would always tell me, we're going to work together again, but I'm not going to bring you until I have something special. And like I said, it was about 4 years. And one day he called me, and he said, I told you that I wasn't going to call you unless I had something special, or I wasn't going to tell you to work with me until I had something special. And he said, I have it. And he said, we're going to start this healthcare company. I have 4 other guys. It was a Thursday, and he said, we're going to start Monday. And we did. And 5 years later, it's a little surreal. We started with medical conferences. Now it's the most valuable medical conference in, definitely in rheumatology, maybe in all of healthcare.
Wow, what a story. And how much does mindset play into that? So now I'm curious, what book did he recommend?
Every time I tell that story, everybody asks that. And it was How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Really? Okay.
Which is an amazing book. And he's a big reader. I love books. And a book is actually what changed my life, to be honest. It was Tony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within. And I remember getting through that book, and I put that book down, and I thought, I'm never going to be the same. It was just one of those things. And I wasn't. But Your question was, how much does mindset play into it? It's everything, literally everything. Nobody can believe that you can be successful except for you, and you'll be successful. That's the only person that you have to convince is yourself. It's everything, everything. And Andrew is so big on mindset and just living in the realm of possibility. Nothing's impossible, and he lives it. I mean, I watched him build 12 companies inside of our company, and it was just the matter of factness that he has when he has an idea for something. Well, first of all, it's never for money. So to give you an example, we were the original five guys. We were sitting in we were actually working out of one of our doctor's offices in his break room because we didn't have an office. And they were talking about how he was asking, like, the big mission here is to change the patient journey and to make healthcare healthier. Healthcare system is broken. So he was talking about that. He said, what's wrong in this specialty, and how can we improve the patient journey? How can we empower physicians? And somebody had brought up that we needed to have our own specialty pharmacy. And he said he thought about it a little bit, and he said, how will that improve the patient journey? How will that empower physicians? And I don't remember the exact answers, but basically justified the reason to start a specialty pharmacy. And he's like, all right, let's do it. And within 5 minutes, he had a logo. We had the website from GoDaddy. He had everything. And now it's huge. I mean, it's one of the biggest specialty pharmacies in rheumatology now.
Wow.
And it was just that matter of factness, and that there was just no hesitation. He just did it, and you can't do that if you don't have the mindset of, I can do anything, and he definitely lives that.
Well, that sounds like a good advice for a first-time entrepreneur or someone that has a relatively new business, or a startup, really. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one of my only regrets is that I didn't think bigger sooner.
Yeah.
Because even with the window business, I mean, as big as I thought it could get, that's how big it was going to get. That's just the reality. So our only limitation is what we put in our minds.
100%. I love that. Mike, tell me a little bit about the book. I know we can't talk too much about it because, it'd be a minute before it comes out, but just a little bit about what got you to write it. Brief overview of it.
Yeah, so it's called Grateful. It's spelled Greatfull. So it's a little bit of a play on words, but I think that the underlying factor to success is being grateful always. My mom and I are super, super close, and she, like I said, I grew up very poor, but she was always telling me, just be grateful, always, no matter how much you have or how little you have, be grateful for what you have. And like I said, I failed many times in my life, and there was times where, I was homeless a couple of times, but I just maintained that attitude of being grateful. So that's part of the reason for the title of the book, but it's spelled that way because I think that we all have it in us. So I can look around the office right now, and there's not a single person that doesn't have some form of genius in them. They're great at drawing, or they're great at, whatever it is. But I don't know anybody on the planet that's not good at something, or great at something. So I think that that's part of the reason for the title, is that we all have greatness within us, and it's just a matter of finding it. So the book is really, I tell my story, because it's even sitting there writing it, I'm thinking, this is so crazy. I just read Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, which is a great book, and I love David Goggins. If you don't know him, look him up on YouTube. He's incredible. But I knew that the premise of the book was somebody that had gone through a lot of shit and made themselves successful. so I'm reading the book, and he's talking about these things, and I'm thinking, not to compare myself, but I'm thinking, this is nowhere near what the shit that I went through, as a kid. And I mean, I talk about being grateful when I was, this is just a small part, but when I was 13, we started to do okay. My mom had a steady job and we were doing okay. And I thought, all right, it's going to, finally kind of get easier. And our house burned down. And I remember walking to my mom because I was with my cousins and I heard about it or something. It's all kind of a blur, but there's a crowd around our house, and I remember just worrying about my mom, like how upset is she? Is she okay? And I knew she wasn't in the house, but I knew how hard she had worked for this house, and I was hoping we didn't lose everything, but I remember seeing her and she wasn't that upset. Um, and I went over to her and I said, "Are you okay?" And she said, "Just be grateful. Be grateful we weren't in there." And she said, we clearly lost everything. The house was engulfed in flames, and she said, "We don't need those things. We have each other. Just be grateful for that." Um, so, I think that's one of the keys to success is being grateful, no
Your
matter how much or how little you have.
your mom sounds like a very, very enlightened woman. I like her.
She's incredible. I mean, I can't. She's my best friend. She raised my brother and I by herself. I don't know how she did it. She worked 2 full-time jobs. Um, and like I said, we struggled, but um, she she always just instilled good values in us. She always told us be respectful of people. Just all the good values that you can have. It was an amazing household, and there's tons of love. We're so loving with each other, even though we were struggling. I mean, there were times where we couldn't eat. I mean, I remember at one time she sat us down at the table and said, we're going to have to just get through the night. We can't afford to eat. Um, and that was one of the times that I just told myself, I'm going to do whatever I can to be so successful that she doesn't have to worry about money. So one of my dreams was to retire my mom. So what was it, January of 2019, last year, um, I was able to do that. So I called her and told her, it's pretty cool.
Congratulations on that. Going to your story of the house burning down and your mom still keeping that level of energy and vibration and just being grateful. Obviously we're still going through the COVID pandemic, and there's a lot of people that are so much more focused on the fear and are scared instead of being grateful. I think more and more people are awakening um, to the mindset of being grateful and counting your blessings. But I also feel that a lot of people are having a hard time maintaining that. Any tips you can give for keeping that level of vibration
Yeah.
high?
So one thing that I've learned, and I believe, is that I call it the great duality of the world. So I think that everything is proportional, right? So how bad something is also how good something can be, if that makes any sense. So the amount of loss and crisis and tragedy, there's proportional opportunity, especially in a time like this. Number one. Number two, I think that the past couple of generations haven't really gone through much. We have social media, we have all these things to lean on, emotionally, and I don't know that the mental health of society was the best. So I think going through something like this puts everyone in, um, gives everyone a huge opportunity. One of the things that I learned as I got older and started to um, be get a little bit of success is that all the things that I thought were disadvantages growing up, being poor and going through all the stuff that we went through, being homeless, I thought they were huge disadvantages that I had to overcome, but they weren't. were advantages. And I learned that just within the past few years. So my tip would be just focus on your own mental health, um, because no one drives that but you, and our brains are so incredibly powerful that we can literally do anything and we can create anything. And I think that our minds are much more powerful than we even know. But, my tip is just to focus on mental health and be positive. It's a constant thing that you absolutely have to do. I mean, I watch YouTube videos every single morning. I've been doing it for 20 years, um, and I'm a naturally positive person, I think, but you still have to do it. It's like taking a bath. You can't take a bath once and just be clean forever. You know, um,
Sure.
you have to constantly work on it and just keep kind of leveling up and improving your mind, because it's everything. And this gives us an amazing opportunity to really look within and build up our mental strength.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi. And one thing that I've heard them say over and over again this year has been things don't happen to you, they happen for you. And
Exactly.
it's helped kind of shift my mentality as well. But I just love that. So I have one last question for you. Obviously, we all have our routines, and I am sure you have a great routine in the morning. So I want you to share it with us. What does that look like?
Um, yeah, so I started it fairly recently, but um, I'm not a morning person. I don't know that anyone really is, but I've definitely trained myself within the past year or two to get up super early. So my routine is I get up at 4. What's so weird is that I don't really even have to set my alarm anymore. Like your body's so in tune. I would literally wake up at like 3:59 or 3:30 and just be wide awake because my body knows I'm supposed to be up at that time. But so I get up at 4. I put on my YouTube videos, and YouTube is, if you look up like motivation or something like that, it'll just keep looping different videos that you haven't watched. So I'll just put them on because, it's so powerful. The first 20 minutes of your day and what you listen to or hear or think about in those first 20 minutes is incredibly important. So that's the first thing I do is put on my YouTube videos, and I ride my bike to the gym, so I get that time to kind of listen to my videos, go to the gym, and then I on my way back, there's the Intercoastal is there in Delray Beach. It's just this beautiful spot that you can see the sun coming up over the water, and it's like perfect time. The sky's pink, and it's super quiet. Nobody's out there, and I just take time to be grateful. You can't be, it's almost impossible to be depressed or angry if you're grateful. And I just think about, all the things that I'm grateful for and all the people that I'm grateful for, and kind of set my intentions for the day. And, it just, I can't live without it now. Even when I'm traveling, I do it. I don't care where I am. I'll go, walk or something, but I always take that time to be grateful.
I love that. Thank you. Any last words to our audience? Any last notes, tips, anything you want to say?
Um, like I said, the underlying um, theme, and I think really how to be successful is two things. Number one, always being grateful, and number two, living in the realm of possibility. Nothing's impossible, nothing. And there's been so many times that Andrew's told me that I was going to do something, even with this company. And I thought to myself, I didn't say it because I'm not an idiot, but I thought to myself, there's no way I can do that. That's impossible, And, a month or 2 months later, I'm doing it with ease. Um, so, just nothing's impossible. And there were so many times where I didn't believe it myself, but I still, you kind of fake it till you make it. It's just a matter of believing in yourself, even if deep down you don't. Just keep going and believe in yourself. And shoot as high as you want, because you're probably going to get it if you really believe it.
You really believe it. You're right. Okay, actually, I lied. I do have one more question for you. So we're focusing on the pillars of profitability, and we've broken them down to marketing, business development, and sales. What would you
Sure.
say is the one that stands out the most when it comes to your particular business? Marketing, business development, or sales?
Um, Probably business development. I mean, it's really everything. Sales is everything. Everyone is in sales. I don't care what you do. You sell yourself every day. Um, so it's tough to nail it down to one. When you talk about profitability, clearly that's the intention of a business, but it shouldn't be the intention, if that makes any sense. Like, there has to be a why. Outside of my office on our wall, we have healthier healthcare, because that's our mission, and it's our real mission, and that's why we're doing this, to improve the patient journey and make healthcare healthier. And we always say we're having fun making a difference, because that's really what we want to do, is make a difference. And now, thankfully, we are. So yes, the intention of a business is to profitability and make money, but that shouldn't be the why. And that's one of the first things that I learned as a young entrepreneur starting a window business, is I was only doing it for money. So at 2 a.m. when I'm writing invoices and everything, if I didn't love it and I didn't have that why to keep me going, it was tough, and I couldn't sustain it. But here, I know that, I mean, we're literally changing lives. We've got 250 physicians in our network in 32 states, I think now. We've changed their lives. I mean, we make it so they can focus on patient care and not so much, bogged down by the administrative pieces of the office. And we've literally changed lives. And that makes it easy to, work your ass off when you know that you're doing that. So if you don't have a real why, and the why can't be profitability, it's not sustainable.
How would you recommend someone find their why? And some people refer to the why as their purpose, just so we're all clear, because I don't want to confuse so many
You
people.
know, it's interesting you asked that, because I was thinking about that this morning. Um, I was listening to a video, and it was actually Arnold Schwarzenegger saying you have to be very clear on your goals, crystal clear, know exactly what you want. And I thought to myself, was I always like that? I didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be successful. Um, so all I did was, whatever I was doing, I worked my ass off. I did the best I possibly could. I stayed grateful. And I just kind of kept going. And eventually it came. This isn't, BandCare isn't my end all be all, obviously, but um, I've found a lot of my whys. I've just kind of happened upon them. I think that if you set that intention, the universe will bring it to you.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good way of doing it. Well, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to do this with us. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. And
This was a lot of fun.
and I really look forward to your book. So
Thank
we
you.
will definitely connect again.
All right. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Mike.